Iron deficiency in development. Okay. If you Google this and it's found in babies, they say it will cause developmental delays. I'm going to teach you one of the secrets. Now, this is advanced stuff. It really is, but you can do it. I'm not trying to say I have, but I have, and I've done these courses because it was a necessity for myself. So my son, he had Haemophilus influenza behind the base of the eyes into the base of the brain. And why does this have to do with iron deficiency? Well, I'm going to tell you why. It's because when a baby is going to move and rolling over, the reason tummy time and rolling over is so important is because it develops their vestibular system. The mucus of a baby is supposed to be so thin, and this is why you hold them in different directions and they drool. But when a vestibular system hasn't developed, the baby will drool. Now, you'll see that with teething and so forth. I get it. But the same thing with someone who's been drinking too much. They drool. They have when you have a hit to the vestibular system, drooling is not a good sign on adults, right? So when they roll around and they're meant to do these things, when a child, and iron is very heavy, we learned this in basic chemistry, right? So when there's a deficiency, we're meant to be a certain weight within the milestones. So when a baby is milestoning, and first they got the tummy time, and then they have the rolling over, and then they're grabbing the feet, and then they're starting to come up to sitting, and all of those kind of things. They're meant to have a certain weight because what's development? It's weight transfer and transitional skills through rotation. When there's too much iron or too little iron, right? Just like if there's too much sugar. Another way of looking at it. Now, these look like the same thing. Now, on a scale, they're going to be different because I put a thicker liquid in this. So you can hold a 5-pound bag of sugar, but because sugar moves more so than wheat, it seems heavier, right? So, but this is, you're going to see, but this, no matter what movement I make, right? This water just responds to me. Do you see anything going on in jar number 2? And this is where the development issues come from. I get it, they're trying to say that it causes damage to the brain. My argument is the damage to the brain is it throws off the equilibrium because of the weight differentials that are constant. And this is why you do this work. Yes, like I said, it's more advanced. My hands had to do it. Your hands can do it too. They had to learn to be so significant to start feeling those weight differences. Another way of looking at it, if we took a top and spun it, it spins, but if we put just a hint of tape on it, just that little bit of cellophane, that top's not spinning. It's going to throw off and it doesn't have equilibrium. It's going to throw off the balance of the top. This is how sensitive human dynamics can be, especially in babies. So you need to start working with your child, first of all, with the newborn movement assessment, but I really would go into the cranial courses. I know it's a lot, and I'm asking you, but you weren't expecting this, and this is where you're going to have to be. But just this little bit that you've got to learn how you're going to be sensitive to, for lack of a better thing, because it's not a real child. Do you know what I mean? You have to be that sensitive. But sensitive, like I could be the only one that knows when my son's sick because, again, I feel the heaviness in his head and I feel the heat behind his eyes. My son doesn't get fevers because he has no immune system. There's no fight. But I can tell that the itis or the heat behind the eyeballs is more significant than on the forehead. And when I feel that, I start, my little antlers go up and like, okay, well, you know, do we need to start getting the hospital bag ready? Do we have to do, you know, what are we doing to make him stable? Because my son can fight pre-pneumonia, let's say. He can't fight pneumonia. Then now we're in the hospital. So I've always been proactive with that. And I can tell that by my touch. When I'm sitting there with the baby and they're just sound asleep in my arms, you know what I mean? You just get used to that touch. They call it mother's instinct. You're going to have to make it a little bit more advanced because if you're not catching that, it's the equilibrium differences within the vestibular system, which in your case is going to risk the delays that you're going at. This is where you get into the support group and this is where you post in your videos. Okay, look at this. What is this going on? I'm a freak that I can tell these things, but I can tell these things because I had to do it as a necessity to save my child's life, not just his development. And so, and again, this is, I'm not trying to say it as a sales. This is what's necessary. This is what you're going to have to do. But if you go with everybody else, they're going to just expect it. If you do what they do, then you're going to get the results. And so this is where you've got to change where the clock is going, and the, pushing it back or changing it. And you can do it. I know you can do it, but please, that's really important for your child's development, and it's important for you to catch when the iron is off way before any kind of testing that you're doing. It is that available to do it. I've even caught it or dealt with it in adults, and you can see that because they get the red in the legs and so forth. It's just sensitive hands, and you're just going to get it from experience. But it's going to be necessary for you to work with the child's development using the deficiency as your power tool versus I don't know what to do. It's not that I can do a specific course just for that, but I can definitely, all the courses have been made up. You just, like I said, you're just going to have to get sensitive hands to really feel what I'm talking about instead of doing it for the movement, but doing it for the movement with or without the iron that's in place. Remember, we're all made the same way, so we're meant to develop the same way. When you change the ingredients, just like in spaghetti, you're going to get a different outcome, and that's basically what it is for a very simple analogy. And that's just where you're going to have to lighten the load on your mental powers and really concentrate on the movement that's necessary based off the iron.